Thanks, President Goodnow. Yeah, Director Spencer, Mr. Jackson, going back to something that you've worked on for a long time is something nobody likes doing it, and you've done a really good job. I hope that the questions I ask will not make you think that I hate development, but I am completely in favor of responsible development that follows the rules and reflects what the people here are looking for. So I'm just going to parenthetically mention that in the word cloud that you showed at the beginning, Mr. Jackson, parks and open space were the largest words. And when you were asked about this a couple of times during the Planning Commission meeting, you responded that these couldn't be mapped, but that certain areas would be there, so a certain acreage, shall we say. And then just in passing, I'm going to say that I think buying the in lieu payments are just really a bad idea. I don't know how many of you have lived for a long time in concrete jungles, but even that little scrap of open space is something that you really need. So I'm just voting here. The question that I really am curious about is you showed us the Sage Apartments, which are currently under construction, and that's a 4-story, 70 dwelling units per acre construction. So I'm not understanding why this one needs to be 5 stories. If you could explain that, I would very much appreciate it.
So the Sage Units Apartments, and it is an example of a development that cannot be approved under the current sub-area plan. That was the point, is that the proposed changes, the Sage Apartments was approved under the previous employment center zone, which had no cap on density. So the current sub area would prohibit that development. So this would be pivoting back to that no cap on density for the Sage Apartments. Does that answer your question?
I'm so sorry, it does not. I understand that the Sage Apartments is 70 dwelling units per acre, yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, council member.
Okay. You can just call me Anna, Mr. Jackson. Please go right ahead. So I guess so why won't simply lifting or raising or eliminating the capacity for deep capacity accomplish the same thing in the East Side sub area if it accomplished it for the Sage Apartments? I'm not asking this to snark you.
Oh, no,
I'm just
no,
asking you because I don't understand it.
I completely understand now. I appreciate.
Okay.
So, and the Sage Apartments is a good example of dwelling units to have surface level parking. So it's just a different housing type that you would be permitting with that 80-foot height limit. If you're going to have structured parking and increased density for that reason, then that's when you need the increased heights. So the Sage Apartments works well because it is able to provide surface parking. But if you're looking to, okay, I'm getting thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that one. Only 2 more questions. As you know, I am a strong opponent of drive-throughs, and I don't understand why the streamlining is going to think about drive-throughs in what is otherwise seems to be planned as a really walkable mixed use. One of the things I really liked in that word cloud was that the people were calling for different types of residents, you know, older, younger families, single people. That was really great. So I'm just saying, I hate the drive-through. I would really prefer this be walkable, but I'm just voting on that, and I'm just going to keep moving, Mr. Jackson, okay? To my final question, which is...
But we could explain why the drive-through thing changed. I think would help you understand why. Okay,
Thank you. I testified repeatedly at that
Okay.
meeting and then at the public hearing, and yeah, and I'm happy to just, like, I am one of seven counselors, so I'm just using these few seconds to vent, and I'm
Okay.
moving on. There doesn't seem to be any public access to the waterfront in this plan.
There is an existing city-owned property adjacent to the Warren Avenue Bridge that provides that waterfront access. And as these properties get developed along the waterfront, each one is required to provide public access as a condition of development.
but it's visual access, just to be sure, because it's high bank.
There is a cliff,
not-
yeah.
Yeah, it's a cliff. So it's visual access. You're not necessarily going to get down to the water itself.
That seems like a really good plan, because those cliffs are bad for health. Thank you very much for answering all the questions. Oh, and I just wanted to say that I looked at the outreach that you sent out, and even though you are not required by code to do much of any outreach, as you said in the planning commission meeting, I like it that you were sending it to people 300 feet away. I still think it should be further, but the actual content of your most recent outreach was very clear. It would have been clear to any resident, and I really applaud your attention to significantly improving this. Thank you.
Jennifer.